you start to get the machine going, how many people are working at the business at this time? Is this like you, the intern, the Omaha Steaks person, and like another person, or are you at like 25 people, 50 people? Like,
no,
what did the employee
yeah.
base look like?
Yeah, we were pretty lean for several years. So, and mostly with interns, people who had a chip on their shoulder, something to prove, and didn't really have any knowledge of what we were doing. And so we brought in Juan, who came in today, was like a freshman at Bentley and was looking for something for the summer. And like, we brought on people like that. And then we just try to keep people going. The first like real hire we made was on Halloween of 2016. So we've been in business for like over a year. And it was a meat guy, this guy, Mike Billings. And I used LinkedIn once again, and I reached out to him and was like, hey, I've got this business. He had retired. He ran meat and seafood at BJ's, which is like Costco on the East Coast. And he had retired. He was like day trading on the beach and was bored. And I just somehow stumbled upon his thing, wrote to him, and he's like, yeah, I'll come talk to you.
What are you searching for on LinkedIn? I've done this many times. Like, okay.
That's what finally...
You and I are very similar.
That's what finally happened.
Like, you're just searching, like, what is the shit that I could search that might be in their LinkedIn profile so I could find this person who's been doing this for 35 years to get on a phone call so I can talk to him for an hour and take all the knowledge.
And you say shit because I've been asked like, well, where'd you find this guy? I was like, yeah, I was pooping. I was just like looking on the internet for this guy, you know. I was like, all right, let me just type in meat, and his LinkedIn said experienced meat executive.
He was waiting for someone. He literally was waiting for someone to search meat.
I got him
on LinkedIn.
So this guy comes in, and he's like expensive. He's like, my last company, I made over $200,000. Like, I don't need to make that much because I'll take some equity, but like he needs money. And at this point, we're shipping like 10,000 pounds of meat a month.
Jeez.
And I'm like, okay, so that's like a few thousand boxes. And I'm like, at this point, it feels like if we bring in somebody who knows what they're doing, they can probably make up their salary. And we were also like, we were not sending a great product. There was like, we did this Groupon one time, and there was like green meat that we shipped out and stunk, and like we had to give all these refunds, and like we had no idea what we were doing. We needed like a professional. So he was the first professional who
but this is interesting because you're like, hey, I had a bunch of like interns and young people and like people with like chips on their shoulder and stuff, but like Omaha Steaks guy, right?
Totally.
Mike Billings, right? Retired meat executive. Those people are like pretty experienced. So it's almost like you kind of sound like, I don't want to give you too much credit, but like you sound like you knew when to like, hey, we need just hungry people who are like young and willing to just work, nonstop versus like the experience. Yeah. Like, how did you know when you needed which one?
So I called this the barbell strategy.
Okay.
What I've found is actually the further people are in their career, the more they act like the young, hungry people.
Oh, interesting.
And so like you got like a 70-year-old who had a 30-year brilliant career, but now is like super bored and knows freaking everything. All they want to do is come in and like teach younger people. So these young, hungry people are like, hey, can I learn from you? They're like, yeah, great. Like, sit down. Let me tell you everything, you know? Where we've tended to have more trouble, and I don't want to say like for those on my team who are listening, this isn't as big of a problem, but like it's kind of that like late 30s to early 50s crowd where really want to make a name for themselves, need to be moving up within the company, also want to coach soccer, all of which, all this stuff is great. But like when you have somebody who's super young and hungry and you can pair them with somebody at the end of their career, either they had retired and are doing another one or like are about to retire, that's where magic can happen.
It's the extremes. It's like, I've seen this over and over again, so it's interesting the way you're describing it, but it's like a lot of times venture capitalists, which we'll talk about whether you like them or not, we'll talk about like you want to find a founder who is amazing at one thing. Like if they're amazing at sales or they're amazing at technical ability or amazing at whatever, they don't need to be this super well-rounded person. A lot of times it's just like be amazing at one thing. really what you're talking about here is like, oh, this person has so much knowledge that it's on the extreme end because they're at the end of their career. Or like this person is willing to go above and beyond and work so many hours and like be so tenacious that's on the extreme of the spectrum. Yeah. The people in the middle are actually the most well-rounded people because they like still kind of sort of work hard, right? They kind of sort of know what they're doing. Like, but it actually is like this very weird middle ground, which sure, there are plenty of outliers, but like, that is maybe not the best place if you want to have extreme outcomes like you guys have had.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you remember before, I was talking about like how in my first company, I left all the people who helped hack through the jungle in the jungle. This time around, it was really important to me that I was going to take all of these interns or, you know, the kind of like the younger people and teach them as we were going, so that they would be able to drive a bus by the time that we needed them to drive a bus. And so that was really important to me, is to like pair them with older people, grow them, help them to understand where they might be blocked so that they're prepared to take on big pieces of our organization. And one of the coolest things about running a company, especially a company that has like grown as much as we have, is watching people's careers just like skyrocket. You know, you come in as an intern and then you're running a division of the company, and like it's just been really humbling to see.